That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about The Unholy. It's the directorial debut of Evan Spiliotopoulos, a screenwriter who's known for having written the last live-action version of Beauty and the Beast, the last Charlie's Angels reboot, the Hercules reboot with The Rock, and the Huntsman Winter's War. So all of those classic pieces of cinema. Notably, Sam Raimi produced this film, which is kind of, I think, would generate any kind of interest in it.
Sure.
It's being released April 2nd, 2021, courtesy of Screen Gems, kind of the genre arm of Sony Pictures. And it's based on a 1983 novel by the revered horror novelist James Herbert.
I started this film and then I had an upset stomach, so I took my ass to bed.
It might have been a demon.
Yeah, I could have been possessed. I got through like 30 minutes. So I don't know what happened. So I'm interested to hear your review because I'm curious to know what happened. I will say what I know from what I saw is there is a reporter.
Well, okay, it starts off in 1845, Massachusetts, and we are peeking out of some girl's face, out of some eye holes, and she's clearly being killed. And her spirit is put inside of a little corn doll. That's how it opens.
Yes, but to tell the basic story, a girl. There is a reporter played by
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
He's in Massachusetts and he goes to some small town because he thinks that there's a cult mutilating cows, but when he gets there he realizes that it's really some teenager wrote like the Metallica symbol on a cow. So he's upset and he's trying to find a story and he comes across that doll.
He hears whispering in the wind and is led to this old oak tree in a field behind a church, and in the hollow of the trees there's this manacled doll.
Anyway...
That looks like Betty Davis in The Virgin Queen.
Yes.
You have to show that picture of her in this.
I will.
The nightcap.
So there's like a little church and there's a girl. What's the girl's name?
Alice.
Alice. So Alice is...
Played by Cricket Brown.
Alice is deaf. Mm-hmm. But after visiting the tree and the doll or whatever, she can now hear and speak. So people from all around are coming to visit her because they believe that a miracle's been performed, because she also performs a miracle on like this boy who's like in a wheelchair, and she tells him you can walk and he starts walking. So that's where I left off. Okay.
What you also missed was that Jeffrey Dean Morgan, playing Gerry Fenn, who's kind of a disgraced journalist, alcoholic, he, just to be funny, breaks the ties that bind this little corn doll, therefore releasing this dead woman's spirit inside it, and that is what instigates Alice's regaining of her senses.
Okay, so now quickly recap the story.
Quickly recap.
Well, just tell the main...
Well, it's, as you explained, this kind of Lord's phenomenon happens. You got a bishop played by Cary Elwes who calls in a Monsignor from the Vatican to determine whether this is an actual miracle, which there are three criteria it has to meet. They decide that it meets it. People come from far and wide. She becomes a kind of tabloid phenomenon, healing people, preaching under this tree. The resident Father Hagen, played by William Sadler, isn't quite so sure that this is the Virgin Mary speaking through her, even though she cures his emphysema. Every time he's around Alice, he can see like the demon creature behind her.
So he doesn't think she's performing miracles. He thinks she's possessed by a demon.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
So then what happens is anybody who doubts Alice meets a terrible end. So he's found hanged in the church, and everybody says it's a suicide. Jeffrey Dean Morgan starts becoming suspicious of maybe this is an evil entity in her, and he, along with Katie Aselton, who's playing Dr. Natalie, who's the female lead, who's kind of had befriended Alice, they go exploring in a building located on the church grounds and find an old manual in Latin detailing what happened in 1845. Basically the same instance, a woman claiming to have been in correspondence with the Virgin Mary, performs miracles, but anybody who doubted her suddenly dies. The townspeople got together and shoved a mask on her face, kind of like Barbara Steele in Black Sunday, and had her spirit trapped in this corn doll. So Alice has decided to have a major feast to celebrate the Immaculate Conception, and people from far and wide are going to come listen to her preach. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Katie Aselton decide to crash that by going into this large tent and saying that everything's fake, that's a demon, and Katie Aselton starts signing to her in sign language again to get to the real Alice. Alice suddenly just renounces the fact that none of this is real. The demon becomes personified in a relatively creepy looking zombie-like moist creature thing. It's got very moist skin for looking so dilapidated. And then they all do battle, and the only thing that can defeat her is Alice, because Alice is this woman's only descendant, because before she was killed by the townsfolk in Banfield, Massachusetts, she had a baby, and Alice is the only living descendant. So when the entity touches Alice, it withers and dies.
And that's the end.
That's kind of the end, and then of course there's that one moment of reprieve, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan has decided to stay, potentially to be a journalist in that small town, and
because that'll pay well.
And pursue a romance with Dr. Natalie.
All right.
So that's your PG-13 religious themed horror film for this season.
Just from the bit I watched, like from the first 10 minutes, I knew it was going to be some bullshit. But yeah. What is your overall impression of this film?
It was terrible.
Oh.
Poor Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I mean, I know we read at the beginning of the pandemic, we reviewed the postcard killings, which was que terrible. But he was also in that.
Yeah, because is that the movie where one of the actors wrote us and didn't like our view?
Obviously, he's probably best known for The Walking Dead, but.
Oh, that's what he's from? Okay.
A lot of his cinematic, maybe he just needs a new agent, but he was in The Possession, which is a good Danish director, Ali Bornedal, back in 2012. Also, I thought was a terrible movie. He's in Rampage, which I know you appreciate that film, I do not.
Oh, with Dwayne Johnson?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Yeah, he's in that.
Oh, yeah.
And Katie Aselton, it's nice to see her in a lead role. Unless it's a movie she herself is directing, she's often kind of a plucky sidekick. She was, to me, the best thing in She Dies Tomorrow, I thought.
Oh, I don't remember.
Cricket Brown. Nothing's innately wrong. It's just there's so many corny bits in the dialogue. Does everybody quote the Bible around here? There's another film, it premiered at Sundance, directed by Sean Ellis, called 8 for Silver, which kind of takes a similar mechanism of something in the corn that's found by contemporary.
In the corn.
Something that's found, some spirit
that's going to be a chapter in my book. Something in the corn.
That has a very similar mechanism, but it is a period piece. That isn't a perfect film, but is miles away better than this. This is just so generic. Because I got excited, not only because Sam Raimi produced it, but the description of the novel by James Herbert sounds interesting. Anything about religious mass hysteria, usually I'm like, oh, it's...
But the trailer was doo-doo too.
Yeah. Religious themed horror films definitely don't work on me because I don't believe in any of that stuff. So what I'm hoping for is kind of to have some fun with it, which I didn't really have there, except for I think it does have very subversive messages about how people just want to believe that all of these people see the Virgin Mary and want to, and of course the economic boom that brings to any spot that is destined to be a miracle, all ties up into the racket that I think religion is.
There's an episode of the Zac Efron Netflix series where he visits a site where a miracle occurred, and it explains how the Catholic Church will have like a medical doctor who's also like a priest go and verify the 3 things you said.
Well, I don't know what those three. They say it in the film, but
They say like it has to be like incurable and some other things. But anyway, that little Netflix series with Zac Efron, I feel like was more interesting than this movie.
Yeah.
Explaining that topic.
yeah, and Cary Elwes and William Sadler. Those are all people I like seeing in films, but that really didn't have anything to do. It was shot by Craig Robleski, who's done a lot of genre television. It looked fine. Joseph Bishara provided the score, who James Wan uses a lot. I think his work on the first Insidious film, I think, is impressive. And I think he did the score for The Conjuring. So technically speaking, it's fine, but...
Are you wearing cologne?
No.
Oh.
Just very generic in every possible way.
What else you got there?
I think that's about it.
What would you give this movie?
1 out of 5.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
You just liked it more than Godzilla versus Kong?
Well, yeah, I mean...
Oh. All right, anything else?
No, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.